as the tensions between Israel and Iran continue to rise, and amidst the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran, visuals have emerged showing the damage to the Iranian bases following Israel's persistent strikes. The visuals on your screens have show that Iran's nuclear facilities in Tabriz, in Dezful and Mashhad. These visuals have also given a view of the extensive damage to the military establishments, with some being turned into just dust. Remember, it is the 6th day since the conflict began between Israel and Iran, and it continues to in fact only blow up as we speak. All right, Ambassador Suresh Kumar Goel, who is a former diplomat, continues to be with us. I appreciate your patience, Mr. Goel. And as we speak about the Israel-Iran conflict, I also have my guest, Mr. Dwivedi. Gigi Dwivedi continues to be with us. Thank you very much for being with us. And right now, in fact, Mr. Dwivedi, let me come across to you with this latest visuals that we are showing on your screens. And as we speak, the Israel-Iran conflict only blows up further, with the escalating conflict right now that we can see in the Middle East over Tehran's nuclear program, and US President Donald Trump reiterating his call for the two nations to start negotiating. What outcome are you witnessing at this point of time? The G7 or the 7-nation bloc meeting on a bilateral ties is going to have onto the negotiations that Israel and Iran are going to focus over in the conflict?
Well, Simran, first and foremost, we need to take an overview as to where this conflict stands today on the day 6. There are a couple of trends which are very obvious. First trend is that definitely, as far as Israel is concerned, they have an upper hand. They have been able to deliver a very serious damage to Iran, and Iran capability stands limited because they have not been able to actually stand up to the repo of strong retaliatory capability they had in terms of missiles and other war-making equipment. Second point is that Mr. Trump, President Trump, has a key role because actually, if you see, he is the real architect in this whole game. Israel could not have taken an operation, Rising Lion, without the tacit support of US. So therefore, he holds actually the key to what's exactly going on. The point number 3 is that every war or every conflict has very clear stated aims. And that's exactly what Israel started this conflict with, 2 very clearly stated aims. First and foremost, to cripple the Iranian nuclear capability. And the second was to decapacitate its war-making machinery and war-making potential. To that extent, they have achieved, I think, a fair amount in what they set for. Today, almost 1/3 of the main weapon that Iranian had, the missile launchers have been knocked off. 20 of the top generals have been killed, and heavy damage is being done to the other installations, especially their infrastructure. Now, where does Trump come in? You see, as I stated initially, the President Trump has given green on for Netanyahu to go ahead, and as he left G7 prematurely on the board of Air Force One, he made 2-3 very, very important statements. First and foremost, the next 48 hours will decide whether Israel will tone down the operations or they will continue. The second point he said is, it's not the ceasefire, it's how we end the game. So ceasefire is only one issue, but how the game is going to be ended is important. After all, this conflict was not started just to have a ceasefire. This conflict has been basic aim of the conflict to reset the whole architecture of West Asia. So therefore, Mr. Trump today is actually on the edge whether to let America come directly into the conflict or the way they have been supporting the conflict indirectly. Now that is a very crucial point, and that will decide how the game is going to play out hereafter. So as far as G7 countries are concerned, you saw there is no unanimity. In fact, there is a fractured kind of scenario because all countries are not agreeing as to what is going on in Ukraine, while all the G7 countries, but for Trump, they have supported the Ukraine cause, while Trump has been hammering that Putin has been given a raw deal, he has been humiliated, so he also wants Putin to come into, in fact, G8. And on the other side, how he is playing out with China. At one side, Trump is having his crosshairs on China. Other side, he wants China to also come into G9. So the point I'm trying to make is that it's very difficult to, at this point, to read how the situation is going to pan out, and that's going to largely depend how USA plays out now. If USA plays keeps out, then ceasefire and of course the end state will be worked out. But if US steps in, then Iran is in very serious situation, and Iran will be on the knees, and that's exactly Mr. Trump wants. That weakened Iran on the table will help him to actually have the deal which is favorable to Israel and US. So at the in conclusion, I would sum it up that it has to be seen how President Trump plays it out. His direct involvement is going to change the game altogether. But nonetheless, even Israel by itself is actually very clear that Iran needs to be weakened. It needs to be crippled as far as nuclear capability is concerned, so that the threat that is faced or that is perceived by Israel is actually either watered down or totally eliminated. So we have to wait and watch. It's very difficult to predict as to how the situation is going to pan out in West Asia in the coming days. Simran.